What's up YouTube, welcome to .NET Mob. In this video I will show you how to implement CRUD operations like insert, update and delete in ASP.NET Gridview. Before starting this video tutorial, I would like to ask you a favor. If you found this video helpful, please thumbs up this video, and for more awesome videos like this, please be subscribed to this channel .NET Mob. Without further ado, let's get started. This is my Visual Studio 2013. First of all, we have to create ASP.NET web form application. For that, you can click on this new project here, or go to file, then new, then project, or you can use the shortcut Ctrl+Shift and click on that. Then select web under Visual C#, then select Visual Studio, then select ASP.NET empty web application. Then name your project here. I will name it as CRUD in Gridview. Then select the location where you want to save this application, then click on OK. So here we have the brand new ASP web form application. First of all, I want to add a web form into this application. For that, right click on application, then add web form. I will name it as default. Click on OK. Before adding ASP.NET Gridview into this page, we have to create SQL Server database and table. For that, let me switch to Management Studio. This is my Management Studio. Here we are connected to SQL Server instance. Inside this ASP web form application, we need to implement CRUD operations on phone book details like first name, last name, contact and email. For that, we want to create a database. Right click on database, then click on new database. I will name this DB as phone book DB. Then click on OK. Newly created database can be seen here. Now we want to add a table. Right click on table, then new table. First column will be phone book ID. Data type will be integer. Then first name as worker 50. Then last name as worker 50. Then contact as worker 50 and email as worker 50. Now I want to set this phone book ID column as the primary key. Then I want to set this same phone book ID as the identity specification for this table. For that, go to column properties, then expand identity specification, then set this as yes. So we don't want to insert values into phone book ID column. SQL Server will take care of that. It will start from 1 and incremented by 1 upon new record insertion. In order to save this table, you can use the shortcut Ctrl+S, or you can click on this save button here. I will name this table as phone book. Click on OK. Newly created tables can be seen here. Now flip to Visual Studio. First of all, I want to add a grid view into this web form. For that, click on Toolbox here. If you can't see Toolbox here, go to View, then click on Toolbox. Expand Data section, then drag this grid view into this form here. I want to change this grid view theme. For that, click on Auto Format. These are the themes available in ASP.NET Gridview. For now, I will select Snowy Pine, then click on OK. Click on Source. I want to change this grid view ID here, GV phone book. These are the properties that comes with grid view theme. I will put a break here. I want to comment it here. For that, you can do this. Theme properties. That's it. With this grid view, we want to design a grid view that looks like this. It contains first name, last name, contact and email. Finally, we have a column which contains buttons like add new, edit, delete, save and cancel. In a same column, we have three types of form elements. By default, it will be a label. When user click on this edit pencil, the row will be changed into a sequence of text boxes. In footer, it will be a text box. So this is called ASP.NET Gridview inline editing with operations like insert, update and delete. In order to design a grid view like this, you can start with column stack here. Columns. Inside that we have to start with ASP template field, and here we can specify the column header text is equal to first space name. First of all, we will specify the default label using item template. Inside that, you can do this ASP label. Now we want to bind this label text from the binding source. For that, single quotes, pound symbol, eval of. Inside these quotes, we have to specify the corresponding column from this table. So it will be first name, and we have edit template. So inside this edit template, we need to specify what we want to show when user click on the edit button. So it will be a text box, ASP text box. You need to specify the ID here, txt first name, and we want to bind the text like this. Let me copy it and paste in here. Finally, footer. For that, footer template. Let me zoom the editor so that you can see what I'm typing here. And finally, inside the footer template, we need to add a text box, and we want to change this ID here, txt first name footer. Footer text box will be empty, so we don't need this text property here. So like this, we have 3 more columns. For that, let me copy this template field from here and pasting here 3 times. First name, after that we have last name. We need to edit these properties here, txt last name, corresponding binding column will be last name, txt last name footer. We want to do the same for remaining template fields. Let me switch to design. So here you can see the 4 columns that we have just added. Apart from that, you can see 3 extra columns. So in order to avoid these extra columns, you can do this: set auto generated columns as false. Auto generated columns equals false. That's it. Let me view the design. So it looks fine now. Now we need to add one more column for these action buttons. In order to add this final column into the grid view, we need to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in total, we need these 5 images. So I have downloaded these 5 images in my desktop folder images. Now we want to include these images folder in our project. For that, let me copy this folder from here, then open Visual Studio, right click on the project, then click on open folder in File Explorer, then paste the folder here. So here it is. Now click on this show all files button, right click on images, click on include in project. Now click on this. So here we have the images folder. Inside that we have 5 images in order to design the last grid view column. For that, we can start with ASP template field. Inside that we need item template, then we need edit template, and finally we need footer template. Inside item template, we need to add these buttons. pencil edit button and trash delete button. For that you can do this ASP image button, image URL. For that click on this pick URL and click on images. First of all, I am going to add edit button. Click on OK. Then set the command name equals edit, then tooltip equals edit. Then we need to give width for this image button as 20 pixel, height as 20 pixel. Like this, we need to add one more image button. For that, let me copy this and pasting here. We need to change this image URL. Click on pick URL. Now we need to add image button for delete icon. So select this delete PNG. Click on OK. Change this command name as delete, tooltip as delete. Inside the edit template, we need to have these two buttons. For that, let me copy these two image buttons from here and pasting here. First of all, we need a button for save or update. For that, click on pick URL, then click image folder, then select the save image. Click on OK. Then set this command name as update. Tooltip will be update. Second button will be cancel. Click on this pick URL, cancel.png. Click on OK. Corresponding command name will be cancel. Same tooltip. Now we need to add footer template. Inside the footer row, we have a single image button. For that, let me copy this and pasting here. Now we need to change this image URL. Select the image folder, then select add new PNG. Click on OK. Set this command name as add new. Change the tooltip as add new. That's it. Let me switch to design mode here. In order to add new records into this grid view, we need to show footer row inside this grid view like this. For that, you can set this property show footer here, show footer equals true. Along with that, we have to set the data key names here. Data key names equals phone book ID. With this property, we can bind the ID of the table inside this grid view. It won't be visible for the user. After this grid view, we need to add two labels for error message and success message. Let me put a break here. BR. After that, we need ASP label. ASP label. Text will be empty. ID will be LBL. Success message. For color will be green. Green. Like this, we need one more label. For that, let me copy this and pasting here. LBL error message. Foreground color will be red. Let me view the design here. So here we have completed with this grid view design part. So far we have done a good job, guys. Now we have to implement grid view inline operations like add, edit and delete. Before that, we have to bind database table into this grid view inside the page load event. Now let's look how we can do that. Right click here, then click on view code. First of all, we need to import the namespace using system.data.sql client. Now I am going to declare a string variable in order to store connection string for this database phone book DB. For that, string connection string is equal to double quotes. Inside this code we need to write connection string for the database. For now I will paste the connection string here. Now in order to bind the database table phone book into the grid view, I'm going to create a function here, void populate grid view, starting with using statement. As a resource I will declare SQL connection object here, SQL connection as SQL con equals new SQL connection. Inside that we have to pass the connection string. First of all we need to open this connection by calling open function. Now I am going to declare SQL data adapter object here as SQL DA equals new SQL data adapter. Inside that we have to pass the query select star from phone book. As a second parameter we have to pass the SQL connection object here. Now I want to create an object of data table. For that we have to import this namespace system.data as dtbl is equal to new data table. Now we are going to fill this data table with the result. For that SQL DA dot fill dtbl. I want to declare this data table object outside this using statement here, and I'm going to bind this data table into the grid view here, gv phone book dot data source equals dtbl. Finally we need to call the function gv phone book dot data bind. Now inside this page load event we need to call this function. If it is not a postback, is postback, then we will call this function populate grid view. Currently this page is empty since we don't have any row inside this table phone book. If there is no row inside the table, we need to show the grid view like this. For that, first of all I want to change the grid view design here. Show header when empty is equal to true, and we want to bind a row that contains this text no data found. For that, go to the function populate grid view. If data table, that is dtbl dot rows dot count is greater than 0, then we will do this. In the else part, there is no row inside this table. In that case we need to add a dummy row inside this table, rows dot add dtbl new row. Now we can bind this data table into the grid view like this. Let me copy this and pasting here. In order to add no data found string into this data table, you can do this. gv phone book dot rows, first row index will be 0 dot cells dot clear. So we will clear all of the cells inside the first row. Now we need to add a new cell into the first row. For that you can do this, add new table cell, and we want to change the cell call span. For that you can do this, cells first column call span is equal to dtbl dot columns dot count. Now we can set the first row first cell text as no data found, text equals no data found and I want to change the horizontal alignment for this cell. Let me copy this and pasting here. Horizontal alignment equals horizontal alignment dot center. In order to see these updates inside this application, just build this solution, or you can use the shortcut Ctrl+Shift+B. Now build is successful. Reload this page. That's it. Here we have the empty data grid view. Now we want to implement add operation with this footer row. For that we have to add an event into this grid view on row command equal to, click on this create new event. It will create C# code for this event. Then go to the C# code file. So here we have the event for on row command. This event will be triggered if you click on delete, update, add new buttons. So we want to identify this is an event from add new button. For that you can do this e dot command name equals command name for the button add new that we have given here. Add new button command name is add new. Let me copy this and pasting here. Inside this if block we are going to insert values from this text box into font book table. For that I'm going to start with using statement here. SQL connection as SQL con equals new SQL connection. Inside that we have to pass the connection string here. First of all I will open the connection here, SQL con.open. Then I will write the query here, string query equals insert into phone book first name, comma last name, contact and email. Values, let me copy these columns from here and pasting here. We want to put the symbol at the rate symbol here. So this is a parameterized query in order to avoid SQL injection. Now I want to create an object of SQL command as SQL cmd equals new SQL command, Inside that first of all we'll pass this query, then SQL connection object SQL con. Now we need to pass these parameters values. For that you can do this SQL cmd.parameters.add with value. First parameter name will be first name, pasting here. Now we want to pass this first name parameter value from this text box txt first name footer, that you can see here, txt first name footer. But you can't pass the value by just entering the text box id txt first name footer dot text. You have to do this gv phonebook dot footer row dot find control, and inside that we have to pass this text box id first name footer, copy and paste it here. Now we want to cast this control as a text box here as text box dot text dot trim. Trim function is used to remove space from both ends. Like this we have to pass 3 more parameters value. For that let me copy this and pasting below that 3 times. First name, after that last name, then contact, then email, then corresponding text box name, txt last name footer, and txt contact footer, then txt email footer, Now in order to execute this query, you can do this SQL cmd dot execute non-query. After that, we will refresh the grid view. For that, you can call the function populate grid view. After that, we have to set the success message dot text equals new record added. Let me clear the error label dot text equals empty string. Build this solution. For that, you can use the shortcut Ctrl+Shift+B. After successful build, reload this page. Now I am going to enter some test data inside this footer row. Click on this add button. That's it guys. Here we have added new record for James Smith. Now I want to add one more row. Right now we have added two records into this grid view. Now let me check my SQL Server table. Right click on the table, then click on top 1000 rows. So here you can see the two records for James and Maria. In the SQL query here, we don't have phone book ID. We don't want to insert values into phone book ID column. SQL Server will take care of that since it is an identity specification for this table phone book. Now I want to enclose this if block inside a try catch block. For that, select all of them, then right click, then click on surround with, then type try here, click enter. So this is a shortcut to enclose a code inside a try catch block here. Inside the catch block, catch exception as ex, and we want to show the error inside the error label. Success message will be empty. Error message will be ex.message. Now if user click on this edit button, we want to show this row in edit mode. For that, you can do this on row editing equals, click on this. Now go to the code behind. In order to show the selected row in edit mode, you can do this gv edit index equals e dot new edit index. After that, we have to populate this grid view like this. Run this application again. For that, hold Ctrl, then press F5. Now click on this edit pencil. So here you can see the row in edit mode, and these action buttons are changed: save or update and cancel. If you click on this cancel button, it should go back to the normal mode. For that, you can do this on row cancelling edit equals, and click on this create new event, then go to the code behind, just copy this and pasting here. Instead of this, set this edit index as -1. Now back to the application. When user click on this save button or update button, we have to update these details into the grid view with given row phone book ID. For that, you can do this. Go to the design, on row updating equals, and click on this create new event. Then go to the C# code file. Now let me copy these lines from this row command. Just copy these lines and pasting here. We don't want this if block here. We want to change this query for update phone book set. Let me remove this. First name equals @first name, then last name equals @last name, then contact equals @contact. then email equals @email, where phone book ID equals @ID. For these parameters, we have to pass values from this text box, not from footer. So we have to edit this control name here. Just remove this footer from here. Finally, we have to pass value for the ID parameter. For that, you can do this. SQL cmd.parameters.add with value, then ID convert to in32 gv fontbook.data keys. Inside that we have to pass row index e.row index dot value to string. That's it. Update query will be executed here, and then we will refresh the grid view, and we will set the success message as selected row updated. Sorry, we have made a mistake here. Instead of footer row, we have to use the corresponding rows. Inside that we have to pass the index e.row index. Let me copy this and replacing this footer row here. Before populating the grid view, we want to set the edit index as -1 gv fontbook.edit index equals -1. In order to run this application, hold Ctrl then press F5. Click on this edit pencil. Selected row is in edit mode. If you want to cancel this edit mode, just click on this cancel. Now I want to edit this row James 1 Smith 1. Click on this button. So here you can see the updated row James 1 Smith 1. We are going to implement this delete operation. For that you can do this. Switch to design, on row deleting equals, then click on this create new event, then go to the C# file. Now let me copy these lines from this row updating event and pasting here. Now we need to change this query, delete from phone book, where phone book ID is equal to ID. For this query we have only one parameter, so let me get rid of these extra parameters from here, and we don't want this edit index. And we will execute this query here, and we will refresh the grid view, and we have to set the success message as selected row deleted. Let me run this application. For that, hold Ctrl then press F5. Now I want to delete this row for James 1. For that, click on this trash delete icon. That's it guys, row for James 1 is deleted. That's all for today. If you found this video helpful, please be subscribed to this channel .NET Mob. In this video we have discussed how to implement ASP.NET Gridview insert, update and delete operation, or you can say Gridview inline editing. You can download this project source code along with DB script from the link given below in video description. Please like and share this video with your friends and colleagues so that they can benefit from this. Have a nice day. Bye.